My friends, welcome to another episode of Tsundoku Reviews. I will be reviewing JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, the Phantom Blood saga. It's a trilogy done by Shonen Jump Advance. Each book retails $20. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Now, JoJo's is a series that actually began in 1986, according to these volumes. Serialized in Japan. And it's tremendous. It is huge. I know very little about it. The only thing that I am aware of is what is within these volumes. Before I start talking about the series and the art, I want to talk about the physical copies themselves. So, like I said before, these are reprints from the original volumes that are in Japanese. There are 3 for the Phantom Blood event. And it's part 1 of Phantom Blood. So there may be part 2 of Phantom Blood. I don't know. And I've truthfully not really cared enough to look into it. I kind of want to be surprised. I want this to be sort of like a time capsule that I'm opening up decades later and finding out about them. So it has truly been a long time. There's an anime, and a couple of my friends and co-workers have seen the anime for JoJo's, and they love it, and they say it's great. And so that I could kind of relate to what the heck they were talking about, I figured might as well pick up the book. They're hardcover, which is really cool, and they're a little bit larger than the regular, like, digest size of regular manga. The covers are really nice. They've got a matte finish and then a gloss over the images themselves. I don't know if you guys can see. Might as well be showing you. So it's like a matte gloss hybrid type of combo here. The artist has actually done new covers. He's redrawn. So as the series continues, his style changes, but he's redrawn a lot of these images for these new prints, which is pretty cool, actually. I really like it when people don't forget where they came from, where they're always remembering how they got to where they're at. Aside from the covers, though, there's some really nice color pages all throughout the manga. It starts with color, and then about halfway through, it gets to this weird, like, it's still color, but it's like a sepia tone type of color. And it's still cool. It breaks up the mundane black and white. The reprints of Dragon Ball kind of do those, which is cool. It's nothing amazing, nothing astounding, but and it fits the tone of the manga. The manga is based in like late 1800s or so, around that area. Or at least it is in this series, from what I've read. The art style is very 1980s. I mean, what do you expect? It's how it was back then. And the artist himself actually references like Arnold Schwarzenegger, because back then it was everyone was built and buff, and so I mean not even Goku is as buff as some of these guys. I can try and show you a picture. But they're huge. They're built, and he even says that they're built like tree trunks. They're just massive muscles, which is something that I'm really not used to. I grew up with Kenshin, who, I mean, fun fact about Kenshin: when Watsuki was designing Rurouni Kenshin, the character, he drew a picture of an actual Japanese samurai warrior, and then it was buff and built and armored, and then he said, I want the exact opposite of that, and then he made a really short, thin, long hair, girl eyelashes character and said, that's my character. And then it was actually too feminine at that point, so he gave it the scar to try to like man him up a little bit, which I thought was funny. I'm not talking about Kenshin, I'm talking about JoJo's. But so the artwork it's old. It's still very, very detailed. A lot of old manga and anime are not as detailed. It was tremendously detailed. In fact, I'm trying to show you guys a picture. There's a ship, and I guess this is spoiler crap. This is the very end of the third book, but that ship is amazing, and a lot of the backgrounds are really amazing. A problem that I did have with the book is it is heavily inked. The blacks are exceptionally dark blacks, and there is so much black that it kind of loses some of the image. And I talked about this before when I did that old kind of crappy review. But that's just so much black on the page, and it maybe it works for you guys. It doesn't really work for me. After looking at pages and pages and pages of black, you begin to lose the characters. In fact, there's them right there, and they have a faint outline of white around them. But aside from that, it's really hard to tell who's doing what and where they're going. I guess while I'm critiquing the hell out of it, there's a lot of continuity weirdness. There will be certain frames where someone will be punching with both hands out like this, and then the next frame, this hand's out like behind him, or it's, you can tell that it's early work, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And if you can look past that, there really truly is an engaging story. JoJo the character. This is JoJo, Jonathan Joestar. He was born to a wealthy family. Dio, who is this character, is kind of adopted into that family. Dio, just for shits and giggles, I guess, decides to make JoJo's life shit, and he treats him horrifically. And it gets to a point where Jonathan, it's like a 2-year, 3-year later sort of jump. And Jonathan, is experimenting with a mask that his father found on an expedition in Mexico, I think. And Dio tampers with the mask, and he is granted this, like, amazing superpower. And there we have the definitive moment of Dio is evil and JoJo is good. You had that before, but it was kind of like a sibling rivalry type of thing. Like, Dio was picking on him. But at this moment, he actually turned, like, legitimately evil. And here's JoJo, legitimately good. And the two clash. It's Goku and Frieza. And it doesn't really take a long time. The books, there's only 3. There's 3 of them, and the events wrap up completely by the end. There's no cliffhanger. It concludes quite well. It definitely leaves you wanting the next volume or the next trilogy or however these are coming out. The books themselves. The first one left me very entertained. I loved the first one. I really liked the first one, to the point where I read it. I read half of it, filmed myself a little bit, and then finished the first and second, like, almost immediately. The second one introduces more to the plot, and the characters become more fleshed out. Other characters are introduced. But by the time the third one rolls around, you can see the third one's quite large, and the second one's large too. The third one's bigger. By the time the third one gets going, you kind of, there's like unnecessary events that I feel are unnecessary. Almost like filler, but not really, because it's still so short. Kind of like Goku had to fight the Ginyu Force before Frieza, and Shishio's got his guys before you fight him, and there's always like henchmen that are involved, and so Dio's got henchmen, and they've got to fight the henchmen, and that's cool, but I found it unnecessary, personally. There was nothing that remained from those fights that were like important later, like they didn't really learn anything. Nevertheless, it was very good. After finishing the third one, I will absolutely get the fourth one, especially because the books look so nice. They look good on the shelves, and they feel good, and it's really cool to have something that was so important become important again. Like I said before, this is my first introduction with JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and it's a bizarre book. I think that's the main point that I really wanted to get for you guys to understand. Never has a title fit a manga so well. The weirdness of it all is unlike anything I've ever read, and I've read a crap load of stuff. There are zombies and monsters, vampire type stuff. You've got like Aztec legend and just weird. It's so weird. And the characters, there's this one character whose hair moves independently of the character, like it can grab you. Kind of reminded me of Bobobo. But obviously this did it first. And you kind of have to read it not caring about that type of stuff. Just being like, of course there's zombies. Of course there's zombies. Why not? Why wouldn't there be zombies? Because if you start questioning things like, why did that guy's hair just grab him? Or how could this possibly be? You start to lose. And I think that's what I actually started doing around the beginning of Volume 3, or the ending of Volume 2. I was like, well, hold on a second. I maybe they moved too fast. But I do believe they will get better. As this alone, this set here, I would give it I would give it a 7 out of 10. Don't hate me. It's still really cool. It's still really good. I've just read a lot better. And I've heard from a lot of you, I've heard from a lot of my friends, from a lot of people just everywhere, that you can't judge JoJo's as a whole based on the first bit. Or any bit, for that matter. You can't say, oh yeah, I saw the fight with Gaara in Naruto, and it was pretty cool. Therefore, the entire series is good, because that's not how it works. You have to look at the series as a whole, and I'm not doing that because I don't have access to the rest of the series. I only have access to this, and this alone I would give a 7 out of 10. That's my final answer. That's my final 7 out of 10. Good enough to recommend if someone likes fantasy, if someone likes action. But I would classify it just under those two, just fantasy and action. There's really not an adventure aspect. There's not a lot of character development, except for Dio. Dio, the antagonist, does definitely have character development. Anyway, I guess I'm just rambling at this point. These are definitely still in print. I've got Volume 3 through Amazon. Volumes 1 and 2 I got at Barnes & Noble. You guys could probably pick them up anywhere. Anyway, so that's JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Thanks for hanging out with me. Go ahead and check out other reviews that I've got. Got one for Jocko. Got one for JoJo's while I was reading it. Kind of filmed a little bit of things by hand. And if you have any recommendations, I try to get better each time. I really do. And there were some things with the Jocko review that I really didn't like. And I'm hoping this one's better. Let's just hope, everybody. I hope you liked it more. I hope you enjoyed yourself. Anyway, comment, let me know what I did right, but let me know what I did wrong. And then make sure that you stay tuned. We've got a lot more cool stuff coming up on Tsundoku Reviews. I'll talk to you all later. Peace out, everybody.